Hi, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Listen, this is day number 4 of going live every day for 30 days. And this is a lot so far, but I can feel my stamina and my creative juices definitely are working overtime. I'm finding myself thinking about things that I really want to share with you. I have so much in my head that I want to get out, and it's probably going to take about 30 days to get it all out there. So I appreciate this opportunity. And again, I want to give a shout out, and I just want to get her name right, to Nyla Wright for, putting this out there. Again, she did it successfully in March. And I know it definitely changed the dynamics of who she is, how she shows up on YouTube, and all of that. So I'm glad that she inspired me to do the same thing. And I see Jaden is first in the building. Welcome in. I hope you're doing well. Let me try and pull you up. All right. Thanks for tuning in. And so this morning I did a short on Now What? And that is what the title of this, well, it's more of an extension from the short that I did this morning of Now What? Because I want to give you strategies. Oftentimes, people will say things and, tell you that you should do certain things, but they don't always give you the tools or the game plan or the strategies to do it. So, in this session, what I want to do is just to kind of give you some nuggets that you can take. And luckily, this is recorded so that if you miss any of it, you can definitely go back. And I appreciate that. So, now what? A lot of times, especially when I was looking it up, I was trying to see, what are some thoughts, some ideas around now what? And when I looked it up, I was surprised at all the things that I read because none of it was positive. It was all about um, when you've tried something and failed, if you tried something and it didn't work, if you tried something and it didn't happen, now what? And when I think of now what, I think about, you when you come close, when you achieve it, when it's your thought, then you have to think about now what. Because if it failed or if it didn't happen, that might be because you didn't have the proper strategies or any strategies at all about what it would be like when you did get it. So it's interesting because I had a conversation about this today, and I've been saying this for years and years. I remember I did a teaching fellowship, and they were saying how, oh, the students, it's success or failure, and they're scared of success. Oh, these people, they're scared of success. Their parents are scared of success. And I thought about it, and I said, it's not success that, oh no, failure. They're scared of failing. They're scared to fail. I'm getting my words all mixed up. But that people are afraid of failing. And I said, it's not failure that they are afraid of, it is success. And that's because failure feels common. People know what it's like to fail. Sometimes, unfortunately, people in their circle expect them to fail. When they start something new, they don't always think they're going to achieve it. So the failure part is like, oh yeah, all right, now what? Um, you know, it's the success that they are afraid of, because what happens once the success is achieved? That's when the now what really steps in. And because people are so used to that failure, they don't prepare for the success. And so in this live, I want to just help you prepare for the success. I see Joshua Robinson. Hello. Wendy Williams. All right. Well, all right. I guess that you are, welcome in. Hey, you want to say about Wendy Williams? I'm from New Jersey too, so I'm not mad at that. Um, all right. Well, I let you have your say. I showed you up on the screen. And let's see, how do you do that? Okay. Want to kind of keep my comments section clean. I see over 50 and Fantabulous is in the building. Good evening to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the thumbs up and the share. Thanks for being here. It's so good to see you. How have you been? What's going on? I need to come by and check you out, see what you've been up to. And what I've been doing is writing down all of the people that have joined me in these lives so that I can go back and say hello and just visit you for a while. So I appreciate you for being here. It's great to see you. I'm just going to write your name. All right. So now what? All right. So when a thought comes to your mind about what you want to do, that's just a thought. You're not taking any action. You may not have even shared it with anyone. You don't even maybe have the experience to do it, but the thought came to your mind. Now, you may have the experience, but you may not have the skills. So you have to figure out, how am I going to do this? You may have the skills, but you don't have the experience. And now, how are you going to get that? So you have this thought, it came to you, it was, an idea that you had. So what do you do? The next one is, let me see, I wrote it all down. The next thing is, you're close. So you have the experience, you have the skills, the thought is there, but you're now feeling like you're close to getting that. Now what? You're getting that goal that you want. And so now what? So you're so close, you can see it, you're in the arena, you're in the building, but you just aren't sure of how you're going to achieve it. And then you achieve it. You have it, you have that position, you made the team, you acquired that thing that you wanted, that business, that position, whatever it is. But now what? And that, when I say now what, that's what I'm talking about. Not the now what you failed and now what. No, the now what you succeeded. The now what the seed has been planted. The now what you're starting to sprout. The now what you are growing. Now what? So we're going to go through some strategies about how to be strategic in your now what. Oh, okay. I'm glad you're doing great. I'm glad. How's your cat doing? And, everything is going okay? I have to see some of your recipes. Are you still cooking? And, just I really have enjoyed your videos. I need to come back over. So the thought, you have an idea, or you have put into a situation, and you may know how to do it, but you may not be familiar with the industry, or you may not be familiar with the sport. You're athletic, because there's plenty of people that could be very athletic. You'll be surprised. And they call them a project. So they're athletic, but maybe they've never played football. But because they're so athletic, some teams will give them a shot and just really work on them as a project, develop them, and try to get them up to speed so that they can perform successfully. But you have this thought. You know the what is required, but you may not know that particular industry. So you have to do due diligence. That's the first thing. All right. So I hope you have your pen and paper ready. You have to do your due diligence. And that means that you will find people that are doing it, that are experts in it, that have been doing it for a while, that you admire, that you see and see them thriving in their success, and you request a conversation with them, or you request a meeting with them. And not just a walk past meeting of, oh, I see them right there, let me go speak to them. No, you do a formal sit down meeting where they have time set aside for you on their calendar, and you can ask them questions. So when you get in front of them, you don't want to have just random questions or you're just pulling at this, pulling out of the air things to say, or you're so starstruck that you don't know what to say. So you want to have some questions already made out, and you want to know what was their journey. How did they get to where they are at? I remember when my husband and I were going to do our first development, and we didn't know about development. We had a young family. So we went around the country meeting developers that had similar backgrounds as we did, with young families. They were novices, they didn't grow up in construction. And we sat down, we made appointments, we made arrangements to meet with them. We would typically go for like a few days and just see what their day to day was like, to see if this was something that would be a good fit for us, to hear their stories, hear their successes, their challenges. That's part of due diligence. You want to do that research. You want to see, like, if what you want to do, is it going to work where you are, or will you perhaps have to relocate to do it? You also want to network. You need to build your network. That means you want to join associations that you can meet other people that may be contractors for you, or may be advocates for you. They may be able to point you in the direction of someone else that can assist you. You definitely want to look into networks that are aligned with what you want to do. People have forgotten about associations, especially since COVID, I want to say. Now, before COVID, associations were abundant. People were doing something all the time with an organization. This organization was doing that. It's coming back. Trust me, organizations are starting to put together more events, but the networking is suffering because people forgot how to communicate with new people. They'll go to an event and just stand around, or only speak with the people that they already know, that they came there with. And no, when you go to a networking event, you need to know, what do you need? What are some of the things I need? Who do I hope to bump into? Who is a person that, or a thing, what is that thing that I need that someone can connect me with? So you have to go in there with great intentions. It's not about, oh, I'm going to this thing, or, oh, I was invited to go over here. No, when you are invited, or when you're going intentionally, you need to understand what you want your outcomes to be. And that's something that, when I, especially before COVID, when I used to network, I used to think about, all right, what's going on? Maybe how many clients do I want to leave with or acquire that I'm like short maybe this week? What do I need for my home? What needs to be done? Do I need a contractor for that? Someone to come and do anything? Just thinking about things personally and professionally. So that's when you have that thought of what you want to do. You want to do due diligence. You want to research it. You want to be connected to the right people that's going to help that thought come to fruition. Because the thought is when you're gathering knowledge, you're gathering new skills, experiences, you're hearing the stories, you're putting those stories into your own words, you're seeing how what you want to do aligns with what you've already done. People always say, I don't know where you got that idea from. It's so far fetched. Is it? Not so much, because there are some things that maybe you've done that's similar. Just like, again, a person who's athletic, they may not have played that particular sport, but they have played other sports. So they already understand teamwork. They understand the importance of staying in shape and having endurance. They understand the importance of being strong. So, right there, all they have to do is learn the plays, learn the position. And that's how it is when you go into something new. When you have that thought, when God puts that thought in your head, he already knows you have what it takes to make it successful. If you didn't, he wouldn't have given it to you. And that is one of your assignments. So it may not come easy. Nothing worth having is, but it's something that you're going to have to prepare yourself for. And again, that due diligence is so important. The next is, you're so close. So you've done your due diligence, you've done your research, you know what needs to be done. You kind of have an understanding of it. You're like, oh, okay, I got it. I got it. I understand how to put all of this together. So now you are close. So, what you have to do when you're close is start laying out the blueprint, start the plans. I remember people used to say, "Oh my goodness, you have so many things in draft form." And that's because when I have my thoughts and I've done my research and my due diligence, I'm creating drafts. I'm developing whatever that thing is that I'm trying to achieve. And I am writing it down, making it plain, and I'm laying it out so that when it's ready to go, when I'm ready to finalize it, it's not going to take a lot of time because I already have it laid out. So when you are close, you need to start laying out the blueprint, laying down the foundation at the very least. And your foundation can't be someone else's foundation. You have to develop your own foundation because this is the house that you're building. And yeah, you could have neighbors, you could even create a duplex and have a real close neighbor, but you have to build your own foundation, plan it out. And even in this phase, you still will have to network. Networking is key. I'm telling you, people don't realize the importance of networking. And when you're laying out that blueprint, you can't be intimidated with sharing it with people that who have been there, done that. You already have done your due diligence. So, with that due diligence, you should have acquired a mentor, and that's someone that can review your drafts, review your blueprints and your foundation, and tell you, you know what? You might want to seal this over here a little better because if you don't, you're going to have a problem in the future. And the one thing you don't want is a weak foundation. And that's in anything you do, not just in development of a construction of a building, but it's also in your business, in your career, in your life, in your relationships. You have to build a strong foundation first. That's where it all begins. So you want to do that. And, of course, the infrastructure before, listen, before you pour that foundation, you need to make sure the pipes and everything are where they need to be so that when you do pour that first slab, it won't be over something that's in the wrong place. All right. So again, you need to plan out, you need to make drafts, and it doesn't matter how many drafts you have. You can just make a small tweak, but don't get rid of the original draft. Keep developing it and see how it progresses until you get to that final piece. And then you've achieved it. You've reached your goal. You've acquired that success. And that's when people really start to look around and say, now what? And that's because they never fully expected themselves to get there. But you have to, when you have that thought and you are that close, you have to know that you're going to get there. But when you do, you shouldn't look around and say, now what? That's when your drafts become final. That's when you are able to set more, you're able to set the walls up. You're able to paint those walls. You're able to put your flooring down. You're able to decorate your space. But if you don't know what you want to do with that space, if you don't know where the rooms are, if you don't know what color scheme you want to have, then you are going to stand around and say, now what? So, whenever you have that goal and you want to achieve it, be it in your relationship, in your business, in your career, you have to thoroughly think through all the phases that you go through. That first phase of the thought. You know what? I have an idea. I want to see where this is going to take me. Well, there's people that have done it. The wheel has been invented. So do your due diligence and research and find who are those people that are doing it. I remember I got into a situation and I had to do some due diligence. I knew the task that I was hired and acquired to do, but I didn't know the industry. I called people all over this country from California, New York, Philadelphia, DC, Charleston, South Carolina, St. Louis, and I was able to find the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is that one person that knows what they did, that did the work, that understands it, and that is the subject matter expert. Now, typically, if you're just doing a cold call or reaching out, you don't usually get that person. But when you have great intention and good intentions, you will always be connected. That's just how God works. He will connect you with the right people, places, and things. And so I was very fortunate to be able to be connected to those gatekeepers and ask them questions like, how did you do it? How did it work in this industry? How long have you been doing it? What were some of the challenges, some of the successes? How was the change management? How did you convince other people to buy into it? And when I got that information, I was able to then share it with the organization, and no one wants to be left behind. So when you tell them, oh, well, they're doing it successfully over here in San Francisco, oh, in upstate New York, wow, they've been doing it for 10 years and they have X amount of people that have gone through already. When they hear things like that, they are more apt to want to come aboard. So if you have a board of directors, if you have a team, if you have your business team and they're trying to say, or your investors, and they're like, I don't know if that's going to fly. But when you share with them, you know that in Belize, I'm just saying Belize, I would like to go, is really doing well, then that's when they kind of start to say, or in Europe is doing this, or in Africa is doing that. No one wants to be left behind, but you have to know your facts. You can't just be speaking off the top of your head. You should be able to quote not just things that you've read, but people that you've spoken to. And again, you're close. So remember, you want to lay it out. It can't still be in your head as a thought. Even if you can like visualize it, oh, I can just see it. But where is it written out? Where is it drawn out? You have to get it down on paper. And another reason why it's good to be put on paper is because say it's a cutting edge like completely new idea, never been done, or you have reinvented something that has already been done, but you're doing it in a more profound, efficient way. If you've written it down, and especially if you dated it, it could be something that you can get trademarked or copywritten so that anyone else that uses it from that point on would have to pay you. So that is another stream of income. But if you just have it in your head, and then if someone else writes it down, maybe they was just in the room, you didn't even see them, and they write it down, who are they going to believe? Or somebody could just be in another part of the country or the world, and you both had the same thought, but that other person moved forward with it and you didn't. And then you're looking at it like, I was thinking about doing that same thing. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that they're doing it and it's doing so well. Look at that. That happens all of the time. And you all probably can attest to that. You probably have heard of someone going through something like that, or know someone personally, maybe even yourself, that's going through something like that, where you had this idea, you didn't do anything with it. It never made any kind of, you never made any documentation of it. You never registered it with any kind of anything, trademark or copyright. And then all of a sudden, you see someone that's done it or doing it, and they came after you, and now they are like multimillionaires. And you're just like, what? And there's nothing you can do about it. So definitely put it out there, make it plain. And of course, again, you have achieved it. You've made it. You've made the team. Even when you make it, you can't stop practicing. And you know what? Listen, every day someone in a professional sport is getting released, traded, or quitting. And what happens is sometimes when people get to that highest level in their industry, the highest level, you'll never achieve it or reach it, but the highest level for that industry, sometimes when they get to that level, they stop. They feel like they've arrived. They stop practicing. They stop doing their best. They just become cocky and arrogant and just are like, I'm here. They paying me now, so but no, even especially when you get to that level, you have to remain on your game, you have to practice. Because even at that level, if you don't practice, when you play, it'll show up that way. And then that's when the challenges start. So again, be mindful that the fear of success is real. And that's because the now what has not been fully vetted. So understand the different levels and be prepared. And I was thinking about you know, slavery, and when slaves, were escaping to freedom, and they just wanted to be free. And I know that many had plans. That thought was, I need to be free. The plans were, I want to learn how to read. I want to make my own money for my craft that I do. I want to be able to do what I want to do without being told. Well, that's what this is. The now what? You have to think, what does it look like after it's achieved? What is it that is not happening for you right now that if you achieve it or when you achieve it, you'll be able to do? What type of freedom will you have? And I don't think people put that much stock or effort into those thoughts. But you have to, and you have to keep fighting, and you have to keep getting better, better with how you move, how you pivot, who you connect with. Just think, when slavery was going on, they had to be very mindful of who they befriended, who they trusted. And that's even how it is when you reach your success. You have to be very mindful of who you trust, who's in your circle, because they'll always say, now what? Because they're going to always try to, make it seem like once you reach a level that they didn't think you were going to reach, oh, now let's see what they're going to do now. Oh, okay. So they think they're this or that. Let's see what they do with this now. You're not trying to impress them. You're just trying to be better for yourself and your family. I was looking at what is her name? I just watched her video, Geeky Girl's Journal. And it was really interesting. She had a video on what motivates you. It was about motivation. It was a really, really good video. It was actually alive, and I just caught the replay. And she asked, put down 3 things that motivates you. And one of my things was my children. I want to be a role model for my children. I don't ever want them to see me become complacent. Um, I want them to see me be able to stand on my own for what my knowledge is, and do my best and make my mark in this world, and leave my trail. Because when they see me do that, that encourages them to do it without me even saying it. Then I also was saying that um, God motivates me, because I know that He has given me an assignment. And it's not just a assignment, it's many assignments. And my goal is to always strive towards achieving those assignments, making Him proud as I'm doing them. And then my next thing or person that motivates me are my ancestors, the ones I've never met a day in my life, but those that I know have prayed for me for this moment, because I know that I am their wildest dreams. And if you know that you are your ancestors' wildest dreams, why not do your best and make all of their dreams come true? And it's not about now what. They've had many moments of now what, and they've done many things so that our now what would not be as challenging as theirs were. We have so much access to so many things. I mean, that second part of the now what, of the goal, about you being so close and doing your due diligence. Due diligence now is so easy with the internet. You can Google anybody anywhere in the world and get connected to them. When I had to do due diligence back in the day, back in, when was this? Oh, my goodness. I mean, we had email, that was it. I don't even know how we were able to find the investors for our project without having Google and all these other social media platforms. This was in the early 2000s. Like, what? But now you have access. With access, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. You can easily look things up and get connected. But when you get connected, you have to know what you're trying to say. You have to know what your goal is. And that's the problem. Many people don't, and they start to stumble and, oh my goodness, like, oh, what do I say? I wasn't expecting to, that they were going to answer. When I call, I always expect them to answer, because when people call me, and I always said this, the people that helped me, and I realized that they didn't have to, that it was just by grace, you know, um, it was just by grace that they answered the phone. I said, when I get, not if, but when I get to that point where I'm considered an expert, I will always answer the phone. Always. I will always respond to the email. Always. Even if it's to say, thank you for reaching out. Unfortunately, right now, I don't have time, but check back with me later. It's never going to be unanswered. And whatever I can share, I'm going to share. And people are so afraid to share. They're like, oh, what are they going to do with it? But guess what? If it was your assignment and God brought it to you, gave it to you as a thought, and not just something you saw and was like, oh, I want to do that. No, a thought is it, you didn't even see it. It just came into your spirit, into your body and your mind, and you just woke up. You don't even know where it came from, why it came to you. Like, what? Why was I thinking that? What does this mean? What? That's okay. But that's when you also have to trust the process and know that your steps are ordered, and you go with it. And when that happens, when it comes to you like that, that's yours. And when you do all that you have to do, the due diligence, the reaching out, the networking, the practice, every level you have to practice. But when you do all those things, no matter who gets it, it'll never be like you. It'll never be like you, because it was yours. It's not yours to lose, it's yours to nurture, to develop, to evolve. So don't be concerned. If you concern yourself with who's looking over your shoulder, it'll never grow. And if you're the one looking over the shoulder, you'll never grow. So don't worry about that. I remember one of the last things that my mother said to me before she passed. I mean, literally, and it's like I could just hear it as if it just happened. I know exactly like what day it was. It was a Sunday. It was the 22nd of August, 2010. And I remember I was walking past my mother and she grabbed me, and she couldn't grab tight. She was very weak at this point. And even though her voice was very limited, I heard her loud and clear. And she said, don't worry about anything because God sees everything. So if you are worried about what somebody's going to do, what they're going to say, what they're going to think, if you're worried that they're going to take what was for you, don't even worry about it. God is going to handle it because He sees everything and He knows what He gave to you. And that's all there is to it. So I hope you enjoyed that and you got some nuggets. If you are looking at this in the replay, if you don't mind, put in the chat or in the comment section, I almost forget, what is your nugget? What is your takeaway? The valuable thing that you may have heard in this session? What is that one aha moment, that thing that you already knew, but sometimes when you hear it again, it just hits different? What is that one thing? I appreciate you all for being here live as well as in the replay. Replays count too. I will be here tomorrow. This is day 4 of 30 days live. Thank you for tuning in. I am Coach Sherri.